Dear students, greetings of the day. Today, we will going to study about tourism and gastronomy. Creating experience, food structures the tourist day. A large proportion of most tourist experiences are spent either consuming food and drink, or deciding what and where to consume. However, many of these experiences are taken for granted, because we often regard eating as a necessity rather than a leisure activity. One of the essential tasks in developing and marketing gastronomic tourism, therefore, is to find ways to add value to the eating experience in order to make it memorable. The development of gastronomic experiences is evident in the appearance of restaurants that offer a total package of food, entertainment and atmosphere. Gastronomic experiences for tourists are usually developed from the perspective of unique aspects of the gastronomy that can only be found in that particular location. As more destinations develop gastronomic experiences for visitors, however, so the issue of intellectual property becomes more acute. Ravenscroft and Van Westring point out that countries or regions will need to protect the intellectual property bound up in their gastronomic culture in order to maintain the distinctiveness of their products. They show how Spain has reinvented itself as a destination partly through employing gastronomic products such as paella and rioja. However, as the gastronomic products of Spain and other countries become more widespread, there will be a growing need to identify the essence of these products and protect them from reproduction elsewhere. Selling the destination. If gastronomy can be linked to specific countries or regions, it becomes a powerful tourism marketing tool. Authenticity has always been viewed as an important aspect of tourism consumption, and seeking out authentic local and regional foods can become a motive for visiting a particular destination. Many countries and regions around the world have begun to realize this, and are using gastronomy to market themselves. Much of the marketing effort directed at developing rural gastronomy is aimed at establishing and increasing the authenticity of the local cuisine. An important aspect of developing authentic local products is an appeal to nostalgia and the virtues of a traditional, simpler and more wholesome rural past. With such resources, Portugal is in a position to use its extensive role in European gastronomic tradition to develop attractive gastronomic products for tourists. Not only can these products be positioned as uniquely Portuguese, but the role of Portugal as a trading nation means that the Portuguese have had a role in developing the gastronomy of the countries from which many of their tourists come. In contrast to the appeal to tradition and pre-modern forms of gastronomy found in rural areas, the urban marketing of gastronomy is often based on positioning cuisine at the cutting edge of fashion and postmodern life. Marketing destinations through gastronomy also brings a range of benefits through complementary activities and linkages, such as stimulating local agriculture, food processing and retailing, raising food quality and strengthening local image and identity. Tourism and food production. Tourism is intimately linked to local food production. Tourists, just like local people, need to eat. If their demands can be met from local resources, this can provide an important boost to the local economy. If not, Tourism can add to the demand for imported foods, harming local agriculture, increasing imports and reducing the economic benefit of tourism. Strong linkages between tourism and local food production can create considerable added value, but poor linkages can be fatal. Because local food production depends on agriculture, hunting and fishing, the appropriate development of linkages with tourism can aid the stimulation of indigenous entrepreneurial activity and stimulate the bottom-up development of community-based tourism initiatives. In some cases, however, the preference of tourists for familiar foods can be a major drain on the economy. This is a particular problem for areas with a limited capacity for agricultural production, such as many small island destinations. Where local agricultural production is better developed, tourism can be an important market. Tourism and food production. Another important aspect of food production in the modern risk society, Beck 1992, is the extent to which our food is safe to eat. In the 1970s, food safety fears in the developed world often related to unprocessed foods, such as unpasteurized milk, which almost disappeared as a result. The development of modern factory farming methods and food processing has now created a situation in which the risks associated with mass-produced processed food have actually increased, and the demand for safer foods, such as biological or unprocessed foods, have grown as a result. This is in turn likely to increase the demand for gastronomic tourism in regions which can show that their food products' relationship between specific regions and the souvenirs purchased was also important. In Crete, for example, many of the food purchases related to Cretan olive oil. This strong relationship between tourism and olive oil production has since been exploited through the establishment of a specific olive oil marketing project, aimed both at tourists visiting the region and those purchasing olive oil once they returned home. It is hoped that the experience of tasting Cretan olive oil on holiday would help to strengthen the image of the Cretan product relative to its competitors from other parts of Greece and other Mediterranean countries. Gastronomic products are therefore confirmed as important souvenirs that appeal to a wide range of tourists. Part of the appeal of buying food and drink on holiday is arguably the ability to share these with friends and relatives on your return. Food products can also be used to display the cultural capital gained on holiday. Local dishes can be prepared by using authentic ingredients, accompanied by local wines, and perhaps even served on local ceramics purchased on the holiday. As part of the experiential baggage that tourists take home, gastronomy can also play a role in making their consumption skills and cultural capital visible to others. Signs of consuming food become just as important status symbols as the food itself. A typology of gastronomy tourism. First order gastronomy tourism development. The indigenous, this order of value added represents a basic development of gastronomy and tourism in a region. The economic activities are based on resources, material or immaterial, already established, and very little else. Increased value added is created in the primary sector in regional food processing industries, and in restaurants by increasing availability and awareness vis-à-vis tourists. Their markets are expanded with increasing numbers of tourists, but nothing else is changed. In first-order gastronomy tourism development, it is assumed that the resource more or less already exists, but that tourists must be helped to understand the gastronomic particularities. The relevant parameters here are scale and visibility. Lack of communication between customers and food providers is regarded as the main problem. The availability of sufficient amounts of food and infrastructures such as restaurants are secondary concerns. Expansion takes place along exactly the same trajectory, without changing the basic concepts and without affecting the nature and extent of the business linkages. The following types of activities are regarded as supporting the aim of developing higher value added in the indigenous institutional frameworks. Including gastronomic aspects in promotional material of the regional country. Promotional efforts take many forms. Pictures of colorful and lively markets illustrate special atmospheres, and convince tourists that food is available and fresh. Some dishes make good photographs, for example lobsters and other types of seafood, and they often go hand in hand with the promotion of coastal destinations. Typically, travel brochures illustrate eating situations. If the food is very exotic, it might be convincing if someone who looks like a tourist seems to enjoy eating it. Gastronomic nomads are the target group of more classy and specialized PR and marketing. Positive relations to magazines and television programs are essential to attract this type of tourist. However, food quality will probably have to be considerably higher than average if region wants to appeal to food connoisseurs. Introducing food trademarks with regional features, names, etc. A more comprehensive effort consists of combining several products and labeling them with the name of the region. No matter whether the label is a quality label or not, the batching increases product visibility and may enhance the qualities of the region for food lovers. The most effective trademarks have been developed over decades and based on solid production traditions, as in the case of Italian specialities from the Parma region. Creating tourism appeal for existing food fairs and events. Every year, large international food fairs take place in, for example, Germany and France, and these annual events attract a heavy inflow of business tourists to the regions. In all likelihood, these mega food fairs mainly support the continued in food production and globalization of the markets. In contrast, cattle shows in rural settings are usually opportunities for local and small-scale producers to display their products. Contrary to what might be thought, these events are not entirely eclipsed by large international fairs, since their existence is based on another economic logic. Originally, cattle shows and other events was started to serve the food and agriculture sector, but they have increasingly become open to others outside the sector. The interest of a larger audience of tourists may ensure the survival of these events, but might also lead to changes in the products presented and entertainments provided. Public/private planning for the restaurant sector in new urban resort developments. Making gastronomy tourism feasible may require an expansion of restaurants, food stores and other facilities where tourists can buy and experience the produce. In new developments, not least in shopping malls, coastal resorts and urban regeneration projects, the integration of the food element is absolutely essential and the location of major importance. Melanifi 1992. But also in rural settings, planning for physical facilities, from signs to parking lots, walking trails and picnicking areas, can be considered part of an indigenous and incremental development of food provision for tourists.